Maybe you can watch this video for Shah. Then maybe I can share with her also. So meantime, if she comes, so she won't miss out our lesson. Okay.
Sound very soft.
Not so clear.
Wait, okay. So
Auditor, what sort of behavior? It's Craig Thornton here from Mango.
now better?
Yeah, yes. Oh, it's okay.
In today's training session, you're going to learn how to set objectives for your internal audit. What are the 5 key principles of an internal audit? What are the roles and attributes of an internal auditor? What sort of behaviors should an internal auditor present? The audit techniques on how to actually conduct and question people. The audit process, how to conduct an internal audit from the planning through to the report writing. We then discuss how to do that planning in detail, and finally we discuss the report writing. So let's start off with the objectives of conducting an internal audit. The first one really is to determine whether your systems actually meet the standards set by your management team or by your customers. So these standards could be ISO standards, these could be customer requirement standards, these could be standards that you've set your own organization that means that you're operating in a safe or secure or not polluting the environment, or your staff are safe. Secondly, you're going to determine whether your systems are actually working. So are people actually following the systems? Are they actually producing the outcomes that you want for your organization? Not just them following the process, but are the outcomes of the objectives of the organization, are they being met? The third objective really is to determine compliance with statutory requirements or OSH requirements. So there could be some statutory or legal requirements, maybe Health and Safety at Work Acts, depending on your industry, maybe some ISO 45001, which is safety standards, or a 9001 quality standards, or ISO 14001, which is environmental standards. There's a whole suite of different standards and legislation that needs to be met. So you need to work out when you're creating your internal audit, what's the objective of doing that internal audit. The other objective is to find and collect objective evidence, so evidence to prove that you're actually following your procedures. And then finally, it's an ideal way for internal audits to actually find some improvement opportunities, because you may be talking to frontline staff and they have some excellent ideas on making improvements. Okay, so there's sort of 5 key principles of an internal audit. The first one is that the internal auditor needs to be independent of the process. So they need to come in with a fresh set of eyes and be independent from that process. So they're finding things that mean they're outside of their influence. So make sure that the internal auditor that's coming in to do the internal audits is independent of that process. The internal auditor needs to be systematic. So they need to conduct the planning. So they need to plan carefully before they actually go in and do the audit. They just don't turn up on the day and start the audit. They've actually planned it. They've read through maybe some documentation. Maybe they've done some early interviews with customers of that process. But they need to be systematic. They need to be planned. They need to be organized. And they need to maybe even have a checklist just to make sure that that process is systematized. They need to be system-based, so they're looking at the system. They're looking at making sure that that management system is operating. They're not actually looking at the person. They're not looking at the personality of the person actually being audited. They're actually looking at the system. So you want to try and focus completely on the system. You want to be objective, so you're looking for facts. You're not looking for opinions or outside influences that aren't objective. So you need to be looking for evidence. So the internal auditor must be objective in their discipline. And the audit needs to be standard based so that you're actually auditing against something. So that could be an ISO standard or a legislation standard, or it could even be your policies or your procedures. Those are standards as well. So those are the 5 key principles of an internal audit. Let's move on to the roles and attributes of being an auditor. So the auditor there really is to obtain information. They need to look for information that is part of the audit. They're not there to look elsewhere. They're looking for information. They're also looking for improvements and maybe looking for problems that may be causing issues with inside of that particular process. And they can be there to facilitate solutions if that's required as part of the audit. But in most cases, I wouldn't recommend the facilitating of solutions. But the auditor needs to be properly trained so that they can actually undertake the audit. They need to be, supposedly, they need to be sufficiently experienced about the process under audit. So they may be a technical auditor that knows a lot of the technical detail of the process or the system under audit. But certainly they need to have experience and know what are the outcomes that are part of that process. So if the process is to have an outcome of delivery on time or delivery to specification, then the auditor needs to be experienced enough to be able to say whether that's actually right or wrong. The auditor needs to be accepted by the person being audited. So you don't want conflict or any political sort of outside influence that may mean that the auditee doesn't accept the auditor. And the auditee also, or the auditor also needs to be a good communicator. So they need to be able to ask nice, clear questions. They need to be great at listening. They need to be good at conducting entry and exit meetings. And they need to be good at actually report writing and reporting what was actually seen and found on the audit so that it's nice and clear and understood by all. Okay, so let's have a look at the behaviours. So once you're actually in the audit, what sort of behaviours do you expect the auditor to have? So they need to be fair, maybe and well balanced, so they understand what is right and what is wrong. They need to be objective, so they're not subjective and coming in with their own opinions. They need to be objective and actually looking for objective evidence. And if that evidence is there, they need to be able to question staff to understand that the objective evidence that they're getting from the staff can be verified. They also have to have some level of confidentiality so that the information they're providing is confidential and maybe if it's not confidential or it's maybe released outside of that confidence, then it could put that auditee at risk. Again, good communicator, so be able to question and listen at the same time and be able to write nice, clear, understandable reports. There needs to be some cooperation between the auditor and the auditee so that the evidence is actually presented fairly so that both sides are cooperative. The auditor also needs to have the customer in mind so that if the customer is wanting a particular requirement, then the auditor needs to be focused on that requirement to make sure that that's what's actually getting delivered. They need to be ethical, so they can't be underhanded and undermine the audit with unethical behaviour. They need to be analytical, so they need to be able to understand maybe complex details and be analytical in that and make a judgment call and be able to be analytical about that. And to be able to be a good judge so that when they're looking at the evidence they can see right from wrong and judge what's good and what's bad. So mostly the audit techniques will be around questioning. So let's have a look at some audit techniques around the questioning. So the first type of questioning is open questions, asking the auditee open questions. and get information from those open questions. So begin with who or what or why or how as a way of, or even show me could be a good one for an open question. So rather than a closed question that may not elicit a lot of information, you want to maybe ask more open than closed questions. You can ask closed questions, but purely just to get confirmation that something's right or wrong. That's a yes or a no. So sometimes you can ask a closed question just to clarify, or just to get confirmation, not to clarify, but it's just to get confirmation that that answer is correct or not. But my favorite really is the clarifying question, which is sort of taking, say, maybe some misunderstandings, or maybe some open questions or closed questions have not been very clear with the answers. Then you can ask, show me, or can I see, or let's take a look at. Those types of opening of questions means that you're actually going to get some information from the auditee that hopefully clarifies maybe some misunderstandings, or clarifies in your mind as an auditor that the information is nice and clear. But the main thing you're going to be doing is listening. So as an auditee, you're going to be asked questions by the auditor, but as an auditee, you want to be talking way more than the auditor. Or as an auditor, you want to be asking a question and then shutting up. So as an auditor, you want to be listening for 90% of the time and understanding what's actually going on in the process, and being very clear of what's happening. And you do that by listening. So you just don't want to be talking over the auditee. You want to be listening to their answers and maybe taking some notes. Okay, so just some overriding techniques or hints that you can use when you're actually interviewing people. You just don't want to regurgitate the question maybe from your checklist. The checklist there really is only a guide, so just don't regurgitate the question. Pitch the question in such a way that the auditee will understand and will be able to verbally give back you the answer, so that it's nice and clear. So you just don't want to regurgitate something that's on a checklist, because from their answer they may go off onto a different tangent and actually provide more value elsewhere that's not even on your checklist. So just don't regurgitate questions from your checklist. Use your checklist as a guide or a prompt to help you along the way. A good idea is to follow your nose. So when you ask the first question and you get a hint that maybe there's some issues or some problems, then maybe follow down those issues or those problems and understand what's actually going on. You may have a whole bunch of questions that are in a particular order that you think is right, and it may just follow the company's procedures. But when you're actually getting out on site, you may see that that's not actually the way that things follow through. So just don't regurgitate what's actually in the company's procedures. Just ask an open question, because the person might be presenting information as work is done rather than as work is planned. So you may want to see the gap that's between those two. You want to be presenting positive body language as well. When you're talking with an auditee, you want to be looking them in the eye, nodding. Head nodding is a very attractive way of getting more information from people, because you're acknowledging what they're saying, you're being positive about it, and you're nodding in agreement maybe with some of the information, and they may want to give you more information to get more head nodding. But try not to raise your eyebrows or shake your head in disagreement. Just understand what's actually happening, and be very positive with your body language. And finally, an internal auditor is not there to do a gotcha, to say, haha, found something wrong. It says here in the procedure you're doing this, but you're doing something completely. You're not there to do a gotcha. You're just looking at what's actually happening and trying to understand why those things are happening. Okay, so the audit process, right at the start, you want to plan your audit with maybe a checklist or a whole bunch of questions that you want to ask during the audit. But you want to plan the time, book the auditee, book an entry meeting, book an exit meeting, make sure that everybody's available, that you may be wanting to read some of the documentation before you turn up on site. So 30% of the audit process is just done in the planning phase. So this is normally skipped as part of an internal audit. I would highly recommend that you spend about 30% of your time just doing that planning phase. Or I always recommend having an opening meeting with the auditees, maybe with them and their boss, and 5% of the time spent on that, just getting an understanding of how work is conducted, just purely in an entry meeting or an opening meeting. Now's the time to actually go in and do the audit, and you're looking at your findings. You're looking at and observing how things are occurring, and any NCRs or non-conformance reports. Are there any non-conformances occurring? So 30% of your time is actually conducting the audit, either on site or remotely. And then then you have an exit meeting where you discuss those findings, those observations, and any non-conformances, and you agree those with the people in the exit meeting. So get an agreement on those issues that you have found, and discuss and debate those. And then finally, you conduct or you provide an internal audit report. Again, 30% of your time. So then you're presenting all your findings, your observations, your NCRs, your planning, and we'll go into a little bit of detail about that later on. Okay, let's have a look at the planning part. So you'll have an audit schedule that you'll be following, but in that planning phase, you're going to be looking at what's the objective of this internal audit. What are we trying to achieve? What's the scope? How does this process actually operate from what starting point to what ending point? So what's the scope of what are we trying to achieve, and what are we trying to look at? You may want to have an audit team, so you may want to have maybe 2 or 3 people on your audit team, and they may be technical advisors if you're lacking some of that expert knowledge to be able to understand some of the technical detail that you may be looking at. Also, in that audit planning, you're wanting to coordinate with the audit team, make sure that they're available on site and that they can be available to answer any of your questions, and they have the appropriate documentation. So you need to obtain any required documentation as part of the planning phase. Now you head into the entry meeting, so introductions. You just confirm with the auditee the scope that you're looking at. You may want to clarify any questions that they may have, so make sure you ask, have they got any questions or any concerns when you're out there on site or doing things remotely. And then also agree on the exit meeting. When are you going to have the exit meeting, so that any non-conformances, any issues, anything like that are discussed and debated. And you need to arrange for any staff when you're on site, including the auditee, if there's any people available to escort you around the organisation. So once you are on site, again, like we said before, use a checklist purely only as a guide only. So it may be early questions will be on your checklist, but as you go around, you may come up with other questions that aren't even on your checklist. So just start off with the checklist for a start and then build on that as you go around. Collect objective evidence as you're doing things. So you may have a notebook where you're recording evidence, and you may want to record certain bits of evidence with references to cross-reference later on. And if you have any non-conformances there, put down the details of the non-conformance, not just have it as conjecture, but actually have real objective evidence with dates and times and sign-offs and things like that. you want to spend a bit of time evaluating the results of what you've found. So just make sure that what you're looking at, and we'll look at in the next slide a little bit more detail about that. You want to evaluate, are we actually looking at something that is a non-conformance or not? And then you're wanting to generate any findings, corrective actions or non-conformances, look for any improvements as you're going around. So you want to generate those as you're going around and noting those in your notebook. So back to the evaluation of the audit findings. The first one there, if you're finding an error, you need to ask the question, is this an isolated error? Is this something that's minor? And so you need to decide if it is minor, then maybe that's just a one-off, or if you feel that it's not minor and it may be reasonably a major, then you may want to sample further data and just see if that's actually occurring. Any other minor errors, look wider for other, if you find a minor error, you may want to look wider at the process and maybe look at another part of the process to see whether that error's come through. You need to determine, is that really a non-conformance? So look at the standard, look at the policies and procedures. Is this significant? Is this not significant? You need to make a judgment call on that. Look at the category that you've categorized it. If it's a minor, then maybe that's not something to worry about. But if it's a major error, then categorize it correctly and maybe get agreement from management on that. You need to make sure that you've looked at the sufficient data to make a judgment. So as a one-off, it could just be a one-off. But if it's not a one-off, and you may want to look at sort of 3 or 4 other areas, or maybe even 5 areas to see, is that actually happening in these other areas? And then assess. It's not really your job to assess the potential corrective actions, but if you've got experience in this area, then give your advice if you feel it's necessary. Next up, once you've done all of that and you've recorded all your non-conformances, discuss all of those findings in an exit meeting. So sit down with the auditee and maybe their supervisors or managers and discuss any of those findings, and make sure you get acceptance from the auditee of those audit findings. There's nothing worse than turning up later and finding a non-conformance that you knew nothing about. So make sure that you get acceptance from that, and then close the meeting so that everybody knows that that particular audit is now completed. Finally, let's head into the report writing. You want to keep a record of how the audit was conducted. So you want to clearly define in the audit report what was the purpose of the audit, what were you trying to achieve, what was the scope, and you'd already determined the scope as part of the planning. So put that into your audit report. Define any references. You're looking at any standards or any policies or procedures inside of the organisation, any forms or any checklists that you looked at, put those as your references. Define who your audit team was. It could just be yourself, or you had a team of other people. Talk about in your audit report what documentation you looked at, what things were covered inside of that documentation. It could be checklists or templates or forms, but also all the records that you looked at and the policies and the procedures. What equipment did you look at? Did you record? Make sure you record what equipment you looked at, and even discuss what maintenance was done on that, any resources that were required as part of the audit, and discuss the audit findings in a positive and negative light. So you may just not want to do things in a negative way, all the non-conformances. You want to present the report in a positive light as well. And of course, the final part is look at what deficiencies were found. So there you go. That's the internal auditor training for internal auditors in your organisation.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is
Yes.
general
Okay.
process of this. Maybe she can, I can forward to her later.
Okay.
Okay, she still not back, right? Maybe on the
Yes.
way.
She on the way to submit system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can go slowly now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so internal audit, what you see is overall. So maybe we can see. Okay, so the stages of audit, if initiating audit, initiating document review, preparing for the site activities, site audit activity. This called the pre-internal audit. Then the actual audit, when you go for opening meeting, collecting and verifying information. Okay, basically audit principle is number one is DR, PI, and IP. I mean, DR means document review. PA means physical inspection, and IP means interview the personnel. Right? So they have to. This is a basic principle of audit. So when you do audits, you have to collect and document review, inspection, and review the finding at suitable stages, and keep your auditee informed of status of concerns and close meetings. So yeah, I will just now see the video also same. So reporting on the audit and audit completion, and after that audit follow up. Right. So what's your, let's say if you given any MC or any follow up, so to verify. So if it is emergency, you need to verify. So it is corrected. Then okay, the auditing process. So the first is initiating audit, make an arrangement with the auditee. Then you go for yeah, prepare an audit, review documents, develop audit plan, audit scope, audit objectives, and auditee. Assign the work to the auditors. So because if you're a smaller company, you got one auditor again, but let's say you got a large organization, you may audit for team of auditors, different departments, those things. Okay, prepare audit working documents, audit schedule, audit checklist and memo, and determine audit sequence, contact open meetings, carry out the actual audit, then review site inspection and interview. Your audit findings and prepare audit conclusions, and present audit, final audit findings in the closed meetings, and formally distribute the audit reports. There you go to follow up on the corrective action and identify the in the audit reports. So input. So what are you going to input? Same like IPO, input, process, and output, right? So here also you're going to do team information, audit plan, your objective and scope, criteria, process description, key business factors, and customer feedback, and so on. Then here you identify where to focus attention and understand the needs or objectives. Here you need to have a job description, distribution among the auditors, then audit schedule and audit checklist. So this also they have to take note of that. Okay, so here is no specific frequency in the 9014 and 45,000 also. Usually determined by the certification body, and practice range from half yearly to annual basis. So however, a lot depends on the environmental aspects and process safety. So this one depends on the process. Let's say high risk, maybe they are quarterly audit also. Like chemical process, those things due to the nature and aspect. So it's very high risk, they may be frequently they do. Even like site is a lot of accident happens. So there may be the frequently inspections, audits by various people, general supervisors, managers, even top management will come down. So your process, everything goes on, so it's okay. They may they check counter check, but it's based on the outcomes, right? So based on the outcome and what is the objective is not met, then they will go for it. Okay, audit plan. So your audit team must have finalized the leaders and members, and you have to mention for the objectives and audit, and parts of system to auditor. So what are the audit team you're going to do, right? Let's say, of course, company is a tree to integrated system. We all go together, lah. So that's other thing. Then your documents, record, working documents, And personally, you want to see key managers, typical cross-section of the staffs. So depend on the natures of the process. Let's say this operating processes, maybe they call for the operators, engineers, supporters. Is based on the process. Who want to check it out? Because the key person must know the process and follow accordingly what the standard written. Then methodology, yeah, you go for review documents and records. You go for interview. You go for cross verification and site inspection. So this also is like auditing. I guess it's abuse like you're checking, inspection, audit, those things. So the difference is audit is not finding fault, right? It's like sampling, right? They check whether it's it is follow accordingly all the procedures. But if you go for say inspection, they will thoroughly check every. More thorough check is in place. Every process they follow those things. So you make audit schedule, allocation appropriate time, and communicating procedures, those things. So team preparation, yeah, your team meeting interaction, and role clarity and work allocation. Then individual and collective review criteria documentations, and prepare and select the standard checklists. They can do for conform logistics, and special briefing by lead auditors and first-time auditors. So these are things need to be taken. Logistic, because sometimes you want to the like quality process, they're going to measure, right? So some of the product specs, maybe they're going to measure up, maybe your length, height, the specification, I think maybe they are very fine. Depends. Okay, audit scope. So this also to define what external and internal issues and relevant recommend of relevant interest parties, and what are the boundary and applicability, and what is within outside audit boundary, and what are the activities, and look at all the process and interactions. So this is audit scope, because some you're related, maybe some other process also have. So no need to look at all those things. So what is your scope of audit? What you're particularly going to do there, you can base on that. Okay, so criteria can be a policy, practices, procedures, and you go for legal and regulatory recommends, and standards and guidelines. You go for quota practices and specify organizational recommends. They were customer recommends. Also need to check it out. So objective should be seek for improvement. Then you, according to conformities, effectiveness, risk management, ensure the effective implementation. Is they following everyone? So that's the purpose of audit objective. So example of audit objective. So that means MS audit should have a defined objective. Some of the typical objective are to determine conformance of auditee management system within audit criteria. To determine whether the auditee management system has been implemented and maintained. So how we know? Of course, we develop all the procedures, right? We give it to, let's say, a company have 50 or 100 people. So how we know? How we going to every day going to monitor, ask him? So from the audit only we can able to know. So how they be follow, implemented and maintained. To identify the potential areas for improvement in the auditee management systems, and to assess the ability internal management review process to ensure continuing suitability and effectiveness of the management system. Okay, audit schedule, yeah, this one straightforward. Date, time, name of auditors and activities related to. So familiarization. So when you do audit, you may check out charge and responsibility authorities who will oversee the process, those things. Then your legislation, look at the legislation also. So the process, they may check out what is the legislation. Let's say this guy are working on the height, so you must look out based on the work at the height, right? That's why I see the video. So it's not like look at the personality of the auditee. So you look up what the system, what the process they carry out. So based on this, you need to look up, right? To go. Then you decide your site location, surroundings and building plan locations, all those things. Then your management policy. Have any issues or concerns? Maybe you can ask for them. Any past accident or incidents, right? Then after that, how was improvement, or maybe what is the actions taken, right, after the accident or any non-conformities. Then they can ask for the process and operation flow diagrams. And then for the raw materials and products, they go for monitoring programs, chemicals and waste management system, those things. Okay, preliminary document review. So decide what document will need to be reviewed, right? Is your manual, your procedures, programs, and result of risk assessment, your environmental impact aspect register, legal and other recommends, your policy objective targets, any compliance or any incident accidents, any emergency preparedness response, previous audit reports. So those things you can check it out. Okay, I think Lee May on the way. Okay. Okay, so the input to develop audit checklist. So the audit checklist, you go to. Hi, Miss Lim. Welcome back.
Hi. I'm late. Sorry,
No
I'm
problem.
still
No
in the
problem.
train. Still in the train.
It's okay. It's okay.
Uh,
Oh, still in the train.
okay. Yeah, still in the train. On the way
Okay.
home.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
I will just see the slide. Yeah.
Can. No issue.
Thanks.
Okay. So audit objectives and audit areas and relevant classes, MS standards, and applicable regulatory or legal and contractual requirement. Because sometimes you work with contractors, so they will look at based on the what's the recommends. Because you're working in different clients, the recommends may different. I mean the process. I mean the regulation also same. But let's say working in LTA, you're working in Exam Mobile, right? You're working in PUB. Maybe the certain rules and regulation is different. So you need to take a look on this as well. Your relevant policies and objectives and relevant MS documents and records. Then your past audit findings, whether can be internal or external. So concentrate in 2 areas. One is a QHS management system.
Just one question.
Yeah,
For the objective, must be measurable.
correct. It
So-
must be smart manner. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, for my case, I saw my objective many.
Mm,
I used to be last time. Okay, for example, on time delivery and all that.
mm,
So
mm.
we have to come out the data. Okay, for example, one month, 3 project finished. So how many projects complete on time and all that. So
Correct.
for my case now, objective, I see quite a lot, 5 or 6 of them. So every objective, I need to have a data or not.
Yeah. So that means when they verify, is it met or not met?
I see.
So it's more, that's why it says more specific lah. Because sometimes if let's say you want the 6, do you want to break down into 3? Maybe, I mean, not like so micro detail lah.
Okay.
Let's say commonly put, maybe it's, you can set up, let's say quality wise. The
Okay.
quality wise, what is the spec? Let's say construction, they go for conquest
Okay.
score. If the conquest score, you put up like 80 to 90, then your standard is there for quality is there.
Mhm.
So then if you, let's say you break down the details, so maybe you go for wastage, how many percent, then yeah, let's say go for safety, then it's basically ASR and AFR, your accident severity and frequency. So there's a common, but to achieve this objective, they go for programs.
Uh-huh.
That one you can, some other you can add into this lah. You can make it more, yeah, that means how you interpret and put, because you write down this all those things, you have many objectives there, you have to
Correct. Have to do a
put
lot.
this one not major lah, but your system have
Yeah.
it not being implemented.
Yeah.
We can, that's why I say this one, they never say, hey, my management system will have 500 pages.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't mean I mean it's cover everything, maybe it's very good, maybe it's lesser. We
Yeah.
say not, maybe it's no good lah. I mean to no. So depend how you the key thing they wanted to capture
So
it.
I can just reduce down the objective instead of 5 or 6, maybe 2 or 3. It should be
Yeah,
acceptable. Right?
Can yeah, no issue.
Okay.
They say quality, I mean what are the key items you can put up lah, no issue.
Yeah. Okay.
No issue. Okay, so you need to check out for the selection, purchase of raw materials, energy, waters, and storage of handling of raw materials, finished products, and waste. Your manufacturing process, assembly and packaging operations, contractors, and treatment, disposal of waste and transport, and distribution of package systems. Your example of QHR checklist, let's say go for environmental aspects, your hazard and identification risk assessment, your operational control, training, internal and external communications, and legal and other recommends. And you go for documentation procedures, manufacturing process, your water pollution control, forklift operation and chemical storage, those things. So memory aids. So before visit, you would prepare the written guide to use during visit, which may include list of topic to be covered. That means when you before go, which plan I'm going to audit. Of course, internally, all the amongst employees, but it is basically if you're a big organization, maybe they go for the audit quarterly also they go. That mean first quarter they check all the HR department and the purchase department. Maybe the next one they go for operation department, so they can, if let's say big organization, they can split up. Normally they go for 1 year lah. For normal organization, but these are the one of the recommend also. Before contact external certification body, either recertification or surveillance audit, you must contact the internal audit and your management review, right? So this part of a system recommend as well. So the one that's why I say they never mention the frequency. This one up to the management. Can be 6 months or can be yearly. So they need to go. So they go for environmental sensitivities, areas, special notice, and each field auditor should have their own customized guide to follow. Okay, so prepare an audit checklist, at least 3 questions to verify the competency clauses 7.2 of the person within the organization to support organization QMS. Right? You can discuss. So let's say competency. So competency, what are the clauses? You can look out. Yeah, you can discuss. Maybe we can point out. So if let's say your 9,000 checklist. So competency, I think more or less same everywhere. So how to, that means it's kind of a checklist. Need to ask under the competency. Right, 7.2. So if let's say look, what are the questions may ask? Let's say go to the company, they're doing piping process. So what you all ask? The competency part. Though the piping process have a welding, have a scissor lift, they have a lifting,
confined space.
yeah, so all those things. So if in terms of this process, what are the competency you check in terms of quality, in terms of environmental, in terms of safety competency? So what are the competency we can ask? Yeah, you can someone, everyone maybe can ask one question. So as a competency, what I think you all ask, we can okay, let's say look
For example,
for,
project manager have any CSPM
okay,
level or no?
okay.
.2.
Okay, so as per this class, determine necessary competency of the person doing work under his control that affects the performance and effectiveness of the quality management system.
For the quality wise, for the using all the where I have the certification qualifying that where I don't know, can you show the qualify where certificate or some like the who is working on the where certificate qualifying the where certificate or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. This can be lah. So
Yeah.
that means your
The second thing we can ask you are using all the equipment like the welding machine or some other like the oven or something is calibrated or not. So we can ask some calibration certificate or some like the regular inspection checklist or something like that.
yeah, this also can be asked. Okay, so the
So
next
for the
Mm.
safety, for the safety points, maybe we can go to the site visits. Maybe we can ask whether they are using for if the weather they are using the light weather hand gloves, whether face sheet, something they are currently using or not. For the grinding, they use the welding grinding sheet. Whether they are using or not, they can be the physically we can check, we can monitor, we can ask.
Yeah, correct. You're right. So
Yeah.
so that means based on the correct when sometimes your competency, I mean, it's not only look out the certificate. You
Yeah.
can go up in terms of competency able to
Interview.
training also. That means in-house training. Are they
Yeah.
aware? I
Yeah.
mean, it's basically called CSOC.
Yeah.
But this one for training center. But you go to the site,
Yeah.
then they can ask, do you waste your assembly point? Or maybe waste your, how do you carry out the job? What you mentioned there,
Job.
lah. So this
Yeah.
also part of a training. So that means they must be able to show, I mean, able to tell. That's also competency.
Yeah.
Because some, we ask them, the guy not sure. That mean the thing is factor begin either the guy supervisor not train them, not frequently monitor them or tell them. Also, it's not competency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true sometimes external auditor company
Mm.
also ask the staff for the company policy, objective, and all that? Is that happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will ask because why? Because you're one of the thing your policy objective must communicate to all.
I see.
So they say, hey, what is your policy? I don't know. So that mean you all never communicate to them.
I see. Okay.
That mean the procedure like they, because when you employ new guy, you must debrief them. But normally they just sign paper and give them lah. Right? Normally not really.
They can't remember also.
Correct. But
some I understand is that some of the policy they will be based on the like meeting room, like the operation floor, like the
correct.
Reception there. So that is
just read through from
cover
there.
Yeah.
the company,
They can do so. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, but the worker cannot answer the meaning. They are not steady. They accept like that. Sometimes the auditor they say like that.
Correct. But it's normally if you go to company, because last time I worked in the US company, chemical MNC company lah, R&D company. So they all the procedures, everything they have a brief. First the employee come, they go. Maybe every individual personnel, they have a training plan.
On duty.
So, OJT, even for safety wise and others, they have a yearly plan they have. So that means some of the, due to the job nature, they will assign the training. It's online training. So when they're free, they can do. So that means then after the track, if any changes, they will communicate. So it's like the process, like you can feel it now. But if you go to, if let's say construction site, also not say don't have, but they have, because the first day they go for induction training also, they will go through all lah. So they check all those things. But how this to effectively understood by the low bottom management, that mean workers and operators, so may not be lah, but supervisor level, all those things you must know and what is supposed to be done. Okay, so these are the questions you can ask. Even you can take action, occur necessary competency, and evaluate the effectiveness action taken. Because some training they went, so they need to do a evaluation of the training. So this one they maintained by the HR. So you can ask the HR, right? Can you show me the training plan and training evaluation of training attended? So from that also they know.
Yeah.
Then They're going to retain appropriate documented information as evidence of competency, right? This one
Yeah.
can include example provision training, mentoring, or reassignment of currently employed person, hiring or contracting of competent persons. So those things can be, a lot of things we can. Okay, so Samin, yeah, that's for the example of that. Okay. Okay, pre-audit arrangement. So this also you got the contract manager, explain audit procedures, understand the business approach, and confirm date and time of audit, obtain all relevant documents, set up open meetings and outstanding definition of NC, check with people and process will be available on the audit. So those things we can check it out. Okay, executing the QMS audit. That means open meeting, collecting the audit evidence. How are you going to collect evidence? Document review, inspection, interview. That's why it's a DR, inspect the site, physical inspection, PI. This one is IP, mean interview personnel, so IP lah. So how are you going to develop audit findings? So based on verification and evaluation. So after that, you're going for close meeting. So this is the normal process. So open meeting. So what I think need to be opening meeting. So we must introduce the theme introduction, credential and repo lah. So to do, then they have to do review the scope and objectives, schedule criteria and audit sampling methods. How they're going to do. So those things lah to go. Right. So summary of audit and methodology procedures. Those things. Then you will confirm the resources and facilities. Your facilities and needed by the needed availables. And confirm time and date of close meetings are when going to do, and definition of non-conformities and stress confidentiality, and clarify the reassure purpose and track non-fault. It's not a fault finding line. Auditing is basically find out is there any gaps, any error. So that's you need to rip them also. Then the auditee they do for introduction, they can see the in-house rules, evacuation plan. So what I think because they're not sure, not aware of this, so they need to do so long. So you're observing and recording evidence. So you follow audit plan and route procedures, use checklists and memory aid judiciously, use appropriate data and methods. They can go for interview, examination document, physical observation, site activities, follow quality loop, trace and review linkages, and follow up with previous audit findings. Those things you can check it out. And manage time optimally, depth and spread, and consult team members, back and forth verification, and think adopt on online, adopt online. So those things can be done. So observing and records the continues, interpret the recommends of audit criteria correctly and consider auditing viewpoints and explanation, and maintain objectivity and cool temper at all times, because auditor cannot go into shout at them, maybe get angry, and then it's not like the way of ethical and professional. Which is we find fault, nothing wrong. Then you just put in the report, hey, this they need to improve. No need to go ask them because some guy even auditing some other like MOM, maybe other guy BCA nowadays also they go shout why cannot be what you come here to find what is not be done, then you just highlight, then we go for it. No need to go to shout people. So to this thing. So the I mean one of the auditor also need to be professional manner. You record legibly and both conformance and non-conformities. Be in listening mode. That's why you see the video as well. Be friendly and professional. Ensure scope and objectives are covered and work as a team with the co-auditors and auditees gates. Your document review, yeah, you can a lot of things you can do lah. Policy, objectives, right? Written manual procedures, monitoring protocols, records, training, monitoring, test records, and operational procedures and customer feedback. I mean, whatever relevant to the documents, they can check. So consider and verify. So date of last entry, permit status, signatures, is he the right person? Our collaboration and maintenance and reliability of data. You can do a cross-check, verify compliance with the regulatory recommends, quota practices, policy, those things. So that means normally how they do audit, like they go for inspection. Some they ask, before go to verification, they'll ask you, can you tell me what is your procedures? Let's say some machine operating. Okay, so who need to operate? Okay, you ask a question. Well, that's why I say it's open question. Can I, yes or no? You're asking. This one, what is that? Okay, scissor lead. Can you tell me who need to operate? He say the auditor asks, okay, this one must be approved trained person. Okay, can you show me your approved trained record? Okay, now see. Okay, then they check, is it or is it valid? Then you will check for the as per legal recommend. This one done where? Oh, this one given by in-house, other operator. So you wrong ready ma? Then you have to verify against the legal recommend, right? So that means this like going on like for, then okay, maybe there's some, okay, this one in process. That means your system in place. They find one process, let's say process approach. Maybe they go to some findings, or maybe they find out some of the worker head. There's a no barricade, right? Are people without working safety harness? No barricade, people working. Then you go ask them. Then you interview the personnel. Okay, do you think what you're doing, is it safe? Do you aware of it? Right? So what I said, they're asking why. Anyone tell you? So you say no. My supervisor today not coming. Then they mean no supervision. Supervisor tell you what to do. Supervisor tell me, but this guy, yes, supervisor tell me, but he never follow. Then he's come. He's no who's a non-compliance. So that means it's an open question how you track up. So then we basically let's say barricade. Barricade no need because the height is less than 2 meters. So okay, then we can compare. Oh, okay, so it's not recommend, but it's good to have lah. You cannot issue a non-compliance for this. But this guy working on 4 meter height, no barricade, no harness. This one straightforward. It's non-compliance. Legal because failure to comply the legal requirements. Then in terms of quality also same, we go up. So they operating maybe like milk product, everything adding. They're adding the waters, maybe others process. Okay, tell them the ask operator, how much water you add? Okay, maybe this. How you add? Maybe okay, one estimator add no specification. Then later I check they put up. That means there's a no system, there's a no procedures. The guy don't know what to add. He asking this one. My supervisor say you simply add 100 liter. You put anything, then check pH. Then okay, ready. So that means there's a total major breakdown. So they don't know what they're doing. Aga they're doing. So that means you can major breakdown. But okay, now how you add? You give me a checklist. A parameter. What are the input going to given? So from this we can check. That means either we can do a physical inspection. From that we can track. We can review the procedure. From procedure we can check whether the guy doing enough. Then we do interview personnel. So is everything in place? Then it's okay. The system is good. So that's what the auditing techniques will be coming in now. Okay, so okay, then you have the maintenance, reliability, data, cross-check, those things you can do. Okay, document review. You can check for the, let's say, wastewater discharge, the operating procedures, monitoring measurement procedures, license and permit standards, and effluent monitoring results, records of non-compliances and corrective actions. So that means the waste discharge. That means these are the process. So you must know what is the legal process. You must know what is the operational procedure. Though this everything is in place. So as long as you're able to show, because your license and permit, you need to, this is a legal compliance. You cannot water that discharge anyhow. So the silty water, if let's say you go for 50 milligram per liters from construction silty water, even if any chemical plant, the pH I think cannot more than 6 something, cannot be less than that. The pH value you can 6 to I think 8 lah, or maybe something the point 6.5 to 7.5. So something like that. That means what product or what you're discharging, you must aware of it. What is a legal recommend, right? So based on this, come. So interview, same also you can ask. After in the balance view, right? You must get the true response. They're going to take for accumulate data, and you develop subject matters and stimulate interest and provoke the thought and determine interview's knowledge and understanding, right? Then you facilitate the conclusion. So these are the one of the interview technique. Same thing you're asking. No need to go scold them those things. We have to. Sometimes you go to everything come and then people like start to lie ready. But even we can physically find, you can check it out. If procedure says so, no, not I say or your procedure say, right? From the easy to find.
Yeah.
So the interviewing techniques like who the right person, right? Then you go. Sometimes you cannot judge some of the answer. Maybe they're not right person to answer. Maybe he may not aware fully. Then you could ask. Then you have to make a conclusion. Who is responsibility? Who's authority person? Then from that you must, because some common eyes, some breakdown communication, those things. This one is common. So you cannot base on that straight away give and see. If something is suspicious, you will ask them, hey, why? What can be done? Then is ensure, then he is putting there. The executive officer should be asked question related to policy and management structures. They say go ask a worker, then he don't know what is policy. I don't know, put it out. So that is the same. So you must ask a question, the right question to the right person.
Yeah.
Okay, so operative should be question on her in the area of the operation and equipment procedures. Right, you need to ask, ensure response for specific questions. Follow the trial questioning to find out the interview really understanding the issue. So this called kind. It's not understand, maybe you can ask for others, other question. Totally don't know, then major breakdown. Okay, so audit the approach. So you're meeting a representative first and talk to the performing the task, explain purpose of the audit, and you must be calm and polite and never act as a superior. The auditor also not the same. We speak clearly and listen carefully. Right? Start with easy questions. Right? No, don't to ask them, scare them, then panic. Do not challenge the auditee. Right? Sometimes maybe the different way to do. Record all the answers. So these are the way to do. So same as you see the video also. So question W, right? Same as I mentioned, why, what, when, where, which, and how, right? This for auditing. If you're executing or something goes wrong, also something will come. Then you avoid aggressive questioning, like don't intimidate the interviews. Don't make him feel he's in the wrong, right? Sometimes, oh, okay, then go for it, nothing wrong. So it should be the way. You ask probing of tunneling questions, examples, and explanations. Let them answer. Did he come for? I mean, don't say wrong. I mean, let him come out. This maybe he will sometimes say, okay, I know what you mean. Okay, never mind. We will improve. Okay, it's no problem. So to say the way, you have to avoid yes or no questions. Use more than just words, or maybe you can body language and eye-to-eye contact and look interested and silence. Right? These are the thing. These are the individual exam based on the following quality policy objective for a construction company. List out 2 questions to interview the top management to verify the commitment on the QMS, and 2 questions on the consideration and possible risks and opportunity before setting an objective. Okay, so this is a quality policy. So you need to ask the 2 questions for top management. So you all can read through, then you can ask a question. This one practice for you all.
can you make it a little bit bigger?
Zoom
Can-
bigger, eh?
Zoom,
Okay, okay.
zoom
Oh,
bigger.
Okay, okay. Better?
Yeah, now better.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm back.
Bye. You need to ask question to your CEO.
This as a auditor to ask the auditee, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the mean
So
is
just based on that, you just ask, can you show me the training record?
okay.
Okay. And then secondly, can you show me the project completion record?
Okay.
Yeah. So from there, you see the evidence whether get achievable.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's good. Can ask. Then yeah, then the question actually is correct. So 2 question top manager to verify the commitment, and 2 question for the possible risk and opportunity before setting an objective. Yeah, so based on your time completion, let's say is done ready, there is opportunity. So that means next thing maybe is you achieve completion 90%. But most of the project you check the record everything, so it's more than that. They completed 100%. So that means the company results is very good. So
Okay.
it's an opportunity. They can get more project. But the project not completed. Why? You have to reason because a lot of resources don't have.
Yeah, short labor.
Maybe a lot of problem. Then there's a risk. Then you can
Okay.
ask. Then how you going to come up?
I
So
see.
those things is based on the objectives. So you can ask for it. If it's there, okay, good. So no comment. So you because you follow accordingly, as per your policy and objective is met. So it's good to go.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So inspection technique. So you can do inspect remote areas, but normally is yeah. I mean what people cannot see, then you have to see the place like some hidden place. You can check it out. Look over the fence and look beyond your gate. Right, check around the behind building and equipment. Lock doors. Yeah, see, some are things like you lock ready, then put some inside. So manholes, basements, and take photographs and make notes. So these are things. Okay, so I can make a. So you have to drains, leakage, strains and discharge, exit for emission, effluent. Because these are the compliance legal recommends. Let's say for environmental those things. They check for roofs, storage tanks. Is there any leakage, spillage, secondary contaminant, piping, even fire safety, those things? You can check it out. Okay, so next audit reporting. So yeah, each auditor needs to review the findings and auditors to take integrated review, lead auditors, and check for additional data collections, site visit, documents if necessary, and generate the factual and correct, complete legible audit findings and define formats. Then review audit findings with the individual auditee and prepare for closed meetings of process and contents. Okay, there will be audit findings, right? Classification. So they go for major, minor, and opportunity for improvement observations. So what is a major non-conformities? They mean there's options, total breakdown, a system to meet recommend of QMS standards. A number of minor non-conformities against one recommend, which can represent a total system breakdown, can be considered as a major non-conformities, right? Same like you go there training Sicily operator. So this guy no operator. How many operator have? 5 operator. 5 operator also no operator, everybody in operate. So this is a major non-compliance, right? Maybe this guy operating, but is nearly just expire yesterday. But when you find out this already booked in 2 days later, so this one we can maybe accept lah, maybe opportunity for improvement, not to miss out. But totally don't have is a major. But I mean, if it was a legal recommend or your standard recommend, is considered as a major non-conformity. Okay, minor. Okay, there's a failure in some part of organization management system. A single observed lapse in the company management system. A reduced ability to assure the control of process of products or failure in the management system. Right? If let's say they have procedures, maybe the checklist, but maybe the outdated version. So this also one of the minor non-conformities. But you to see this one is affecting a major your spec, maybe others, but this one cannot be a minor. It should be a major non-conformities, right? Maybe some part of it lah, not say everything. They not say don't want, maybe overlook, never look at it lah. So thus we can give it up. But they knowingly do, wrongly doing, so this will be a major non-conformities. That means there's a difference between is mistake, error, crime, offense. So there's a lot of difference there. So mistake, people unknowingly do. Right? Is error, unknowingly do. By mistake, I mean, yeah, some maybe one. By error, without knowing. We don't know. That means you cannot expect the error. We don't know. Maybe error coming, unexpected. But mistake is maybe not seen, overlooked. Maybe can. But crime, you know, it's wrong. Then you do. I mean, it's, wrong is of course is wrong lah. But it's crime is, you know, it's wrong. Then you're doing thing. Knowingly doing is crime. So that means same is like a minus and a major and opportunity for improvements. Okay, so statement outside scope of audit might be moving towards a non-conformity. Risk identified, but no problem at the time being. The space for improvement, which will improve the effectiveness of the organization. Let's call this opportunity for improvement. Your non-conformity should be factual, objective, and be clear and concise, and related to the class numbers, and be locatable by other auditors, define the exact instance and objective evidence, and give a unique identifier, and be categorized either minor or major, be acceptable and signed by authorized personnel representing the audit. So you cannot, I don't like this guy, give you NC, is no such thing. You must be evidence. You must be violating the standards or criteria. Then you can be a non-conformities issue. Okay, example for non-conformance. QHS policy. There was a lack of awareness of organization policy at the operator levels. The company's environmental policy did not include the commitment to comply the relevant legislation regulation. So that means this is a non-conformance. Your aspect and hazards. The scope of aspects hazard did not cover the operation carried out during the time of audit, such as office and administrative activities. Right? So they say some process carry out, operating a scaffold, but your company don't have a risk assessment. So this become a NC. but you have, but not capture fully. That was okay, acceptable. Maybe give off observation. That's what to do. Legal and other recommends. The procedure did not include responsibility and authority, methodology for identification, relevant legal and other recommends. So these also non-conformance. Okay, non-conformance statement should include problem statement. The reason why is non-conformities. The categories of NC, whether major or minor opportunity for improvement. Then you need to put up a recommends, quote the relevant clauses. Are your location of the findings? Are you check for objective evidence? What's the document numbers and equipment ID, those things. Let's say this procedure say you have to complete this, but when people doing, you will never follow. There's no procedure follow. So this objective evidence. So yeah, then based on the following scenario, prepare 3 non-confirmations should include problem statement, recommend, location of findings, and objective evidence. Okay, non-conformity statement. Exercise. You are internal auditor for logistic company that you work. You found that there is a customer complaint on December 15th, supply logistic department. While you look through all the customer feedback, you realize that there is a customer complaints that items product they have ordered was either delivered or in poor condition or not delivered at all, not undelivered on time, and complaint has not been followed up. When you check with the operation manager, he mentioned that the organization have no way to trace or track what happened to the items or product. The customer wanted to know whether this item was misplaced or in our warehouse, or the item disappeared during the delivery process. They requested to resume the business only after our management enforced employees to start doing business to meet their demands, or we lost the business. You observe that there is a failure identification and traceability of the items. So what is a non-conformity statement from this? How many NC you can give?
Not traceability.
Okay,
And also cannot record for the customer complaint.
okay,
That is maybe not proper DO.
okay,
Delivery order not properly DO. Then
Should having corrective action also.
yeah. So that means this is a major breakdown in the system.
Yeah, major
Yeah.
breakdown.
So it's totally, I think, and then you check out is the system have, maybe the system everything have, but nobody follow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of NC can given. They totally cannot go. Maybe this such are the cases. They may not. They have to redo the audit. I mean, let's say for external auditors, they won't
Come
certify.
back, come back again. Huh?
Yeah. So they can issue a lot of things. Then they can withdraw the certificate. I mean, if this one during a surveillance audit, this go in, they can totally cancel it. Either you, I mean, they have to. No, I mean, not totally they remove, but they have to.
They give a time limit, right? Maybe
Yeah,
1
time
or 2
limit.
months
Yeah,
time to
Yeah.
to rectify it, the corrective action to feedback.
Correct. So after that, they everything back, then they redo audit everything. It's in place, then they go. So
By
unless
the way, the internal audit is it depends on us either 6 months or yearly basis, right?
yeah,
How about the
yeah.
external audit yearly?
The one okay, the audit cycle is initial audit. They call it stage 1 and stage 2 audit. The initial review.
I mean, the
and
external audit is every year or
every year. That's why
every
it's
year?
the initial one, stage 1 and stage 2. After
Okay.
that, every year there's a
Surveillance.
certification given 3 years.
Okay.
From certification date. After that, every year need to do. That means first time audit, right? After that, the next year, first
Okay.
surveillance and second surveillance. Then
Okay.
the third one, they need to
Recertification.
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 They mean they
Okay.
check through all the system, everything.
Right.
Any changes, those things. But surveillance, maybe they do sampling only, pick up few departments, few
I see.
sections. just to sampling. It's in place, then should be okay. Okay, so close meetings, you take auditing, process the findings, ensure clear understanding and resolve the differences, and be open to additional informations and prevent audit conclusions if appropriate. They can give a recommendation if required or if competent. Because some auditor may not know all to give the solution. If we know, maybe you can give a suggestion or recommendation, but the auditing need to determine. So how to correct and how to overcome those things. Then you have to discuss the corrective action and follow recommends and hand over and commit the data final report submissions. Then maintain the confidentiality. Yeah. But some go, you cannot be go disclose others. So these are things. So this auditing principle is one of the things. So if we go audit other people's, they cannot be, take photo, put in the Facebook, all those things, and then it's a big issue to come. I mean, for external auditor, those things, they are, when he's signing all, they are put up, maybe anything, even wrong or illegal, anything, they cannot disclose to others. Maybe they go report to MIM, those things, they should not do. So these are the part of audit, auditors, ethicals, and those things. So this is one of the professional manner to do. The same like internal audit also same because you engage a guy, so act in the manner. Okay, so the agenda, yeah, thanks for cooperation. Summary of good points and conformity findings, observation and advice. Go for corrective action, report details, and what is to follow up and questions, those things. So post audit follow up. So they have to do the root cause model, and you have to analyze before the corrective action request, and they have to initiate the corrective action request and implement the corrective action and verification of the implementation and effectiveness. After you are maintaining the records about doing, so those things to check. So the root cause analysis, same right as I mentioned, like a 5W1H, what, why, who, when, where, and how. So these are things you can check it out. So corrective action versus correction. Corrective action is act on non-conformity discovered and eliminate the root cause and prevent the occurrence. This call is corrective action. Correction is act on the current problem and root cause not eliminated. No guarantee the same event may not be repeated. So that means taking action. Let's say pipe leaking. So they go maybe stop the wall, maybe cover it. But if this action is a correction, maybe temporarily stop. But future coming leaking, we don't know. So we have to find out further process where the pipe was connected and why it was leaked and who does this, or maybe damage or those things. Then you have to make a preventive action. That's called a corrective action. Previously, there was a car and PA, corrective action request, preventive action request. But now the preventive action taker. That's why it become corrective action is a preventive action. Correction is an immediate correction. So corrective action is a long-term preventing action. All those things. Okay, so corrective action defines action, the time scales, and action may be in two stages. Fix the symptoms and fix underlying causes. The time scale must be realistic. So how long can be completed? Okay, checking corrective actions. The auditor will initially evaluate the proposal if they may suitable or effective. Must be timely corrected. Corrective action must be ensure the problem is solved at the root cause. They go for minor non-conformities can initially be clear by reviewing submitted corrective actions or verify on the next audit. The major non-conformities may require special visit to clear. Objective evidence will always be required to clear as a non-conformities. So you cannot go anyhow give them non-conformities. So this one of thing. Okay, so verification, corrective action. To look at action taken have eliminated the root causes satisfactorily. Result achieved are satisfactory. Your containment action quick cannot be acceptable. Right, you need to check out. Okay, so these are the references Yeah, already given to you also. You can give by right all the standards, those things, right? Quota practices is actually for one lah. So if let's say using for your organization, those things you need to buy the one as other standards. But as long as you know knowledge training, you can keep it up lah. No issue. Okay, so that's all we have our total slides. Maybe I can share with you some of the checklists. Maybe do some of the audit checklist. I can show that. Look out. Okay, so this I took some example reports. So this audit report. So what is the scope? What is the summary? Look at this and that. Then what is the strand? I mean, they look through all the classes with the manual, those things they check, then they certify. Right? If any opportunities, right? Maybe responsive communication. If you base on this, the classes, right? Must we have is not inside, you can put it up. Must be updated based on non-conformities. Properly documented action taken. Have a reaction plan. Ownership must be defined. KPA, those things. Let's say, yeah, they're based on the classes they go for it now. So let's say under this 4.1, there was a documents, right, where they capture, right? Now this one, the findings, yes, they identify and seat number this and that, the new local competitors, this and that they can do. I mean the score is compliance. Yes, these classes is compliance. Right, identify internal issues. Also they got document. Yes, documented reviews that they have. Let's say needs expectation. Then they check most based on, that's why the three items. One is document review, interview, and inspection. So some I don't, you can show that. Let's say scope quality management system. Yes, the
I
scope
stand
doc.
for I stand for what?
Yeah.
Yellow color.
Oh, that one I think improvement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some maybe now some. Yes, this one compliance. If let's say okay, this one I improvement. That mean input expected outputs. That mean it was noted that two process did not define the outputs such as process, purchase, those things. So C4 Tola. So that mean whichever you feel that not met with the process recommend, then you can put it up. But it is legal recommend, class recommend, then become NC. You see this one is NC. That mean criteria, methods, monitoring measures. No process do not have KPI defined. So that means without no way to go, always a goal there way, how are you going to go? So this some of the thing is NC. Maybe we look how leadership. Yeah, leadership all coming. We can some yeah, top management, how they promote. Also KPI defined for each process, but can I ensure measurability in each process? I can look at some NC maybe. Okay, management, let's say policy. So also need to respecting objectives. Let's say communicating. When you record a training loss, when entering senior supervisor, 2 out of 3 do not understand the meaning of quality policy, how it affect their respective responsibilities. So this one for improvement. If let's say NC, we go, okay. Objectives. No quality metrics KPI not defined for each process. This big NC. There's a no record monitoring. Objectives must be monitor, review, and interval. No record of monitoring. So become NC.
May I know, is it a must to set KPI?
Yeah,
Must.
must. Then what's your object? Your company, why you are doing? That means let's say where you want to go. You go to Changi, go to Tuas, take a train and go anywhere. Then we need to. Then from that we determine right how long it take. I want to go faster. Okay, take a grab. No, maybe take a motorbike. So that means this KPI must have
Okay.
as a system because this whatever the classes they mentioned they got to show the evidence. Let's say some item we can show. Let's say control of changes, revision guideline, all those things. Yes, the record changes must be reviewed, approved by authorization. Yes, they have. Okay, let's say performance. When they go to performance evaluations, right? So each process does not have KPI as planned. So that means your KPI donor, I think many things will NC. That means you don't have a policy, objective, those things are total breakdown. You don't know the how you because operation, your monitoring, auditing, all is coming place one. Right? Your leadership, policy, contacts, few element don't have already, yeah, then no need to see. No need to audit. Okay, so yeah, methods of monitoring. Okay, so this method is manually YAPI, monthly, quarterly, and quality goals. Okay, so not such plan how and when monitor measure KPI. So this is a major NC. I send you all these. Maybe you can have a look. Sampling. Okay, I can show how they are. Okay, some item summary. Let's say for 9,000.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Talking about the corrective action,
yeah,
because now the COVID-19 pandemic.
yeah.
So, for example, have you encountered that the company that got financial crisis, and then the salary delay, so consider as non-conformance, but still need to operate. So how can the whole team, you know, be like teamwork again? Because the situation is the boss always delay salary. Of course, all the staff will be affected, their mood, all this.
Yeah, so yeah, Malta company due to this, I think previously some of the company also closed down. They cannot do so.
So,
Layoff. There's other normally with these cases they can go for yeah, but company is employee. I mean employee is wealth of the company. But some what they do like maybe they reduce their salary. They go for maybe but now I think government also have option like if let's say cannot get you and what you are getting your salary, you can look for other second job. That means certain percentage you work for this company, you can work for other company. But by right, if you're employee, you cannot work for other company without knowing the company lah, because your
yeah,
performance will go in. But this one legally they can allow, they can with the consent because you need to have a meet your what's the normal income lah. So the government also allowed to do that. I mean they give gains to you can do a part-time. 2 jobs you can do.
Mm.
So that's one of the thing. But some they give some funding, even for there's a supporting scheme also they given. They say employee
The scheme.
age, there's a lot of scheme, job support scheme, those things, right? They given
Yeah.
support. But some need to understand also because some will look up, of course, employee lah, but you look up the boss's status also. So without earning anything, they also, of course, they employ lah, because employer versus employee is a mutual contract, right? If a business, I will give. So if you know business, what to do? Of course, you know, pay salary also. I don't work for you lah. Of course, I need to survive my family.
It's very realistic.
Correct. So, but some you can never mind. But if you go other also, you can do second time or maybe some normally go like company going to down their maybe the job last up pay. Then you times come few months, 6 months you come up. Maybe they are pay take annual leave, maybe pay lesser, maybe they pay later lah. Maybe half of salary they give, but they keep it once the business up, then they pay back. This mutual agreement with the companies and employees. They can do
Yeah, yeah.
government sourcing.
But it's hard, you see, with the situation like that, it's quite tough in the sense that the workers and staff may not be cooperating because since you owe me money, then they speak louder than bosses nowadays.
Yeah. That's why if you go for employment act, of course need to give but recently also there's all lockdown, so they given only for basic, basically a minimum sum, because they also not producer. Even the government, the MOM, no need to pay the levy lah, because nobody work one. So, but after that they increase back, but even they will pay for minimum food allowances, this and that they given. It's a humanity lah. So of course, so is terms of contract lah. Well, cannot come down all lockdown. Why you want to do? Nothing. So, but some cases, that's why some is nobody go. Then the government take like a military wise. If let's say war season, nobody cannot go out. So find food where all the military guys come. I think some are here. China also. I mean other country also. When they lock down, they cannot go buy outside those things. They mean they go to the house, all distribute. They mean these few guys. I mean the guy only they are supporting. Then they stay in the house. But sometimes situation how to
Yeah.
you have to
Okay,
understand.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. Um, I can show you the maybe one audit report. I can maybe show you the question now. Okay, let's say look up for the safety audit checklist. I think most of audit checklist they go by classes. So either compliances and what is the comments, right? And therefore, as per individual standards, right? They check out. Then if it is there, yes. What's the manuals refers? The evidence need to capture that, right? Let's say they check what's the manual policy status. I mean, as per classes are stated, then demonstrate. We can put as per the procedures, those things. Roles and responsibilities, then they clearly mention these as per the class. Supporting roles for documentation, operation wise, right? They're reducing risk, management change. So some may not have evidence, so it's not, maybe they're not doing, maybe the procedure have, but some may not have. So you can, based on the evidence, you can put it up. Right? Okay, next is okay, maybe I can Okay, so some they are kind of a checklist. So they have a, they can summarize the scoring system also they put lah. So that means they put up minimum how much need to score, right? So based on the score they can indicate minimum need to have. Let's say the score is very less, then you have to work. So they can depends on the organization. They can separately create based on the process. They can create it out in the checklist because we cannot remember all. They go class by class based on the system, right? They check through, so they find some evidence. Yeah, these some of the examples are even your physical instructions. Let's say, yeah, some safety wise, the signages not in, they put up signages. Let's say no maintenance, no, when you're not in place, then you have to display. Yeah, maybe they have to put a color code to inspect. These for the barricade signages are like good practices, right? The site they put up, then the fire user, right? Good practices, holding up, signages. So these are the putting up, right? So this based on the company, they can create based on the system they create. I mean the checklist based on the standard. Let's say go for say also like classes 4. Then what is evidence? Yes or no? Let's say how you monitor, they monitor feedback. Then classes 4.3. So this one where you scope in the IMS, so they kind of a checklist. Even they can do even in handwriting, that also can. So this when the audit, these are the internal audit, those things they will check when you come external audit, right? So you need to create as per your company standard. Yeah, so what are the compliances? Emergency preparedness and evaluation compliance, internal audit, improvement, all the classes mentions. Right, so okay, let me check any other thing I can show you all. Yeah, the standard already given. Yeah, the risk-based model. Yeah, last time we go through the video as well. It's more clear as well. So yeah, especially your policy, your objective, especially the risk-based risk and opportunities is a key thing to drive a company lah. Right? So yeah, check out everything. Yeah, I think hope we cover the most. Maybe we can go. You can Q&A lah. Okay, so the certificate I'll give you in maybe in few days. I verify all the your register in the your the JAR form. The register is correct. I think all of person your name. I mean your name. What you mentioned is same one. I put it in the certificate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so I think that's all I have. I will send you the maybe some checklist or fill up format to you all. Someone I sent to you all WhatsApp you lah.
Okay.
Some for info.
Okay.
So in future anything we can discuss lah. No issue.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question you all want to ask? Maybe I stop
Yes.
sharing. Yeah.
Do you have any contact for safety, fire safety manager? Do you have any contact part-time or full-time? Because we are
You
looking for one.
Ken. I'm a fire safety manager.
You can do part-time or not?
Your which building and what's your budget?
Which building?
Ah,
At Cross Road.
you sell me the building, then I can. But this
Okay,
one,
in that case, maybe you give your contact to Mr. So, and then
Ken.
Yeah,
I
thank
can
you.
contact you. If any safety related, that's why I mentioned your MOM, SCDF, NEA, MOH, PCA. Most of the ministries are related to safety, environmental. Even I am a pest control technician.
Okay.
So if any related, you can approach me. I can assist you. No issue.
Okay.
Can right? Okay. Yeah. Any other thing you want to?
Sir, I have something to take out.
Yeah. Yeah.
How will it goes about for a company to fully set up the ISO from scratch, actually?
Okay. It's a scratch. Okay. What system you want actually?
We are looking at 4005 first, but relevant one will be taking up 3, but I think gotta be taken out step by step. All right.
Okay.
So we are not really clear on which path should we go on taking first. Because after this course, I understand that this course overall is just a full picture of the ISO system itself, or this
Yeah.
3 standard itself,
Yeah.
whereby it's a full picture and a rough idea. But what I really want to know more is how do we set up from scratch itself, from starting from the basic itself, all right? What kind of procedure we need to prepare what with, then followed by the manual book, all this, then followed by the auditing phase itself, and calling over the external auditing team to audit and to get approval of the ISO. Am I right to say?
Yeah. Correct.
So
Yeah.
how do we go about to start off with, actually?
Okay, so if let's say you have number one, what you are doing, same like you go for 5-year method and 1W 5H method, 5W. So what your company are doing, what is your recommend? Is there any ministry you needed? Yeah, the purpose of ISO, okay, I want to have make a branding to go. Because normally over the industry, they will, because if a company, they are for tendering those things, this is a minimum recommend.
Yes, correct.
So if you
Because
want to
actually for
go,
my company wise, gotta set up the ISO fast
Yeah.
to get the tendering to be done. So that's why I'm here to take up the course to understand
Okay.
more about the ISO. All right. So that's why I need to know how can I start about with and getting about to start off with the one first ISO. I think much more appropriate will be 4005. Am I right to say? So
40,000,
what kind
yeah.
of documentation that I need to prepare,
Yeah.
and what I need to, do you have a template for me to vet through, and so I can so call like a template for me to do out and start out with all the template itself, then followed by the details that I will need to know to get about with, then followed by the calling in the external auditor to come in to audit for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is prepare the manual, your manual procedure documentation as per your what you study the standards, right? Based on your nature of your process. I mean, what
Okay.
products and service you're doing, right?
All right.
So this
Okay.
can be, yeah, I mean, normally ISO come is, I mean, your business is either is a product or is a service. Only two things come,
Okay.
right?
All
So
right.
based on this, you will develop the procedure, those things. Because if let's say do a piping process, if let's say your one boss is a cleaning, right?
Yes.
Training process. So that means what are the equipment, what are the process, and where you're going to work, environment all need to be then check out. Then your legal recommend as per the thing. So what we do that we
Brian,
prepare.
your voice is a bit soft. Can you speak louder?
My one is it?
Yeah, very soft.
Okay, wait. Now it's better.
Yes.
Is it okay? Maybe you try whether it's a sound. Okay, it's now better. It's clear right now.
No,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do a manual as per your products and
Mhm.
service lah. Then after that,
Okay.
let's say engage external body. So that
External body.
also a certification body. Okay, certification body in Singapore is a SOCATEC, Certification International, previously called. Then the GIC. Then mostly is a SAC aggregator lah. Then
Okay.
if some have a foreign collaboration also, they say with the IAF lah, International Audit Forum. So there's a two. If let's say SAC, the price is about 2,500 one system for auditing.
2,500 for the
500
auditing
for
itself.
auditing, yeah, certification body only. I mean for external audit lah, for one standard.
Certification.
Hmm.
Okay.
So your
But one standard for.
yeah.
So if this one is just for auditing on the one standard
One
only. So
standard.
if let's say, so they will top out 2.5 for each other standard itself.
Yeah. If you go together, maybe they give some discount.
Okay.
Three audit in one.
Okay.
Then maybe it's good.
Okay.
Then
So
then,
do you have any other like for instance like example or template for the manual itself that can send to me?
template manual I can send some so yes, effort to go. But if let's say go when your auditor come, there's a lot of based on your process. But some template you need to take based on your process you need, because some may not applicable. Let's say process you're
Okay.
developing your RA, those things, right? So
Okay.
unless you well versed, you can do so no issue. Your process well then no. But some you know, I can give you some sample no issue.
Okay, can. Thanks a lot.
No issue. Yeah.
All right.
Anything else you want to clarify? Okay, it's good.
Yeah, that's
This accreditation,
Yeah.
just now you say SAC. Okay, there's any requirement for this? Must be SAC, must be IAF, and other?
No,
any?
not really, but some client they prefer this
I see.
local certification. But let's say go Be Safe Star, you must have can be SAC or can be this one for the IAF or MLA mutual agreement.
Either one.
Either one, because some certification not with the IAF, so they're not recognized. That means two things is recognized.
So okay.
So there's even you go for UCAS, UK standard.
Okay.
So that one a bit expensive.
UCAS more expensive.
Because you UCAS, you go for aircraft, other clients they will ask for it. Some marine industry they will ask for it. The client they mention, and then you have to go for it. But more or less same lah. But you have to there's a auditing fee may different.
I see. Okay.
May I know the last time there's one BBQI, the certification body still exists or already no more?
Which one?
BBQI. Have you ever heard of BBQI, the certification body?
BBQI.
Yeah. I only recall last time when I do the ISO, the certification body is from BBQI company. The certification do the audit for us. Is it still exist or?
I'm not sure because some they buy over lah. Even GIC
So
and
I also
others.
wondering, all this they are checking, they are auditing, and they themselves also system breakdown. close.
Maybe, yeah, some maybe they're not business, they are closed down. So
Oh, okay.
because in order to be a certification body, they also have a standard. So they also maintain a QMS. So how you going to audit, so client those things, how you perform all those things. So in order to get this thing, also they have a auditing certification body also ISO. So to put
Okay.
up. That's go. Good.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, good. Any other question? COVID, anything want to ask?
No.
Okay, that's good. So if thank you very much so
Okay.
much choosing us. Maybe let us send up some of the notes to you all. Maybe send up a survey feedback form lah. Maybe send it tomorrow or later days. You can send us, then I send you a certificate. And future
Okay.
anything you message me or email me lah. I can clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? If any courses, those things we do. Even we do a website design.
Okay.
So myself, I'm a website. I learn a lot of when you do business, right? So some I think I given. So I learn myself.
Okay.
I have a team of guys also. So this website is developed by me, designed by me.
Oh,
I
okay.
see.
The jot form, those things.
Yeah.
Can. Right?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Nothing. Thank you so much. I will
Thank
keep in
you.
touch.
you.
I'll send you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Keep it
Okay.
touch.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Good night. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, bye bye.